October of 1988 was a very exciting time in the history of Nikon cameras, for in September of that year, they introduced the Nikon F4, the fourth flagship camera from Nikon. And I first learned about that camera in an October issue of Popular Photography magazine. There was an article by Herbert Kepler, and he went over all the features and controls in that camera. And I thought, God, this looks really great. At the time, I was shooting with a Nikon F3. I was working for a weekly newspaper, and I really wanted that camera, but it was way out of my price range at the time. When introduced, the camera listed for over $2,500. I believe it sold for around $2,000, maybe just under it, when it became available in December of that year. So I'm going to go over some of the features of this camera right now, and I'm going to do a future video on how everything works, all the controls, features, how to use it. So we'll get to that in a future video. I'll go over everything on the camera. I've done that on many cameras in the past, and it's going to be a long one on the Nikon F4. But the big thing, the big news when this camera was introduced was, of course, the autofocus. It was the first Nikon professional model to offer autofocus. Now, there was an F3 AF camera, which I believe came out around 83. The F3 was introduced in 80. But there were only two lenses for that camera. It required a very large finder, and it was very expensive. It wasn't well received by professional photographers. But there were a lot of rumors about the F4. It was highly anticipated, and it was received fairly well when it first came out. And, you know, like the F3, when the F3 was introduced, it was the first Nikon Pro model with automation, with aperture priority automation. And some pros were skeptical of it. They felt like maybe an auto exposure camera wasn't something for professionals, but it caught on and became very popular and was in production for, I believe, 21 years. In production longer than any other Nikon professional model. And in fact, it stayed in production for years after the F4 was introduced. So again, the main feature, the thing that everybody was talking about, of course, was the autofocus. It had one autofocus sensor in the center, and most autofocus cameras at that time did, you know, not like today where we have a screen full, a viewfinder full of autofocus sensors. So in addition to that, it also had 3 metering patterns. Okay, previous Nikon cameras just would have a center weighted meter, and the F4 has center weighted metering. In fact, it has the center weighted metering that was in the F and the F2, with 60% of its sensitivity concentrated in the 12 millimeter circle in the center of the viewfinder. But it also offered matrix metering, an updated version of the matrix metering that was introduced with the Nikon FA several years earlier. And of course, it had interchangeable finders and screens. And it was also the first Nikon Pro model to have a built-in motor drive. Okay, you didn't have to buy an accessory motor for this camera. Of course, you had no option for manual film advance, however. And it was completely battery dependent. Now, the F3 was battery dependent as well because it had an electronic shutter. However, you did have one manual shutter speed if your battery died, but not so with the F4. It needed batteries. However, it took AA batteries, which were available everywhere. And it came in two versions, basically. It was the F4S, which was the model that was first sold in the United States, and it had an NB21 battery pack with a vertical shutter release. Took 6 AA batteries. There was also an NB20, which was smaller. It didn't have this piece on the bottom here. It took 4 AA batteries. You lost the vertical shutter release. You also got a lower frame rate. With the NB21, you were able to shoot at 5.7 frames per second. But if shooting at 5.7 frames per second, you're going to burn through a roll of 36 exposure film in about 6 seconds. So what else did it have? It had shutter speeds up to an 8,000th of a second. Again, a first for a Nikon Pro model. And the F2 and the F3 went up to 2,000th of a second. One of the great things with the F4 for professionals, it synced at flash up to 1/250th of a second. Whereas the previous models, the F only at a 60th, the F2 at 1/80th, and I believe the F3 also was just at 1/80th of a second. So it worked great if you needed to do fill flash outdoors. It also had matrix balanced fill flash photography, so you didn't have to worry about all those calculations. And if you use the Nikon SB24 flash, which was the flagship flash at the time, you got matrix balanced fill flash. It also offered manual rewind. This will auto rewind the film in about 6 or 8 seconds. However, that could be a little disconcerting if you're, let's say, in a quiet situation, so you could just set it to do manual rewind. It had availability of a data back, a 250 exposure back. I'm probably leaving things off. It had a full information viewfinder. You had your shutter speed, aperture, frame counter in the viewfinder, what meter pattern you're using, if you had flash compensation, if you had, exposure compensation set, and there's a dial on top to set exposure compensation, plus or minus 2 stops and 1/3 stop increments, and so much more. As I said, I'm going to do a video going over everything on this camera and how it all works in the near future. But as I said, I learned about this from an article by Herbert Kepler in the October issue of Popular Photography. And as many of you know from previous videos, I subscribed to a bunch of photography publications back then: Modern Photography until they ceased publication, Popular Photography, Shutterbug, Peterson's Photographic, the Rangefinder. And so I have a few articles here that I saved and some ads. And this is from the November '88 issue of Shutterbug, which was, I believe, their first article on the F4. And it's just titled Futuristic Designs. The F4 expands, consider it the Mozart of professional cameras. And this is product proof sheet from Photographic in November of '88. Just a short little blurb on the camera. The long-awaited Nikon F4 is here, and pros will not be disappointed. And it shows a suggested list price of $2,472.50. I believe it was a little higher than that. And it just went, it was a very brief article that just went over some of its features. And when the camera was introduced, of course, it was in short supply. There was a lot of interest in it. A lot of professionals wanted it. And here is an April 1989 issue of Photo District News. Photo District News was a publication for the photo industry. I worked in a camera store and some period through the 80s, and I had access to this magazine. And this article, again, from April of '89, it starts out, the F3 is back on dealers' shelves. Last year, Photo District News reported a nationwide shortage. And the reason for that shortage is Nikon was building up production of the F4. And so it says here, ironically, now that Nikon has caught up to the demand for F3s, the F4 is back ordered. And it also states in this article that most dealers said they were selling the F4 for $1,800 to $1,900. And it says, also says here that in the next 6 months, shipments of the F4 will be stepped up. So F4 was in short supply, and again, this is April of 1989. And this was the first test report I saw. This dates from May of 89. There was a lot to test on this camera. They didn't just do a quick test report. They used it for months, and this article in Photographic went over the F4, and the title of this article is "The Best Feature of Every Nikon Camera in One F4." Now, as many of you know, I loved ads, especially when I first got interested in photography in the early 70s. My buying decisions were based in a lot of cases on who had the best ad. Not very smart, I guess, but Nikon had some great ads. And here's one for the F4. It says, "In designing our new camera, we consulted some typical consumers." And on the cover of this, on the first page of this ad, is Peter Kaplan sitting on top of the Chrysler Building in New York. Now, this is a picture from earlier, but he was a Nikon photographer, and it was a multi-page ad and printed on very nice paper. You were able to pull it out of the magazine. Had a great shot here of the F4 with the 51.4. It shows the body, the internals of the camera, the die-cast aluminum body, which is solid. It is then covered. In fact, let me read this here. It says, "The backbone of the F4, a solid die-cast aluminum alloy chassis. The solid feel of the F4 is enhanced by the tough, shock-absorbing rubber compound of the outer surface." And what else is here? It also shows a few other Nikon photographers, Tony Spina. And it also shows a picture of an early 105 millimeter 2.5 lens from Nikon. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this lens. It's a classic. And it's kind of beat up, but this is, of course, a pre-AI lens. It dates from late 50s, early 60s. It's one of the legendary Nikon lenses, and that lens could be used on this F4. You have to use it with stop-down metering. You don't have all the meter systems available with those pre-AI lenses, but you do have spot, you have center-weighted metering. You can use it in aperture priority or full manual mode. And you know what else? You also have the ability to use the electronic rangefinder to assist you in focus. Now, this camera takes interchangeable finders and screens. Many of the traditional Nikon screens that were available for the F2 and F3 are available for this camera. Now, the F3 screens won't work in this camera. You need F4 screens. But the screens in this camera are also brighter. They're bright view screens. There's just so many great things about this camera. And just a few more of the ads. There was one series of ads they did called The Reasons. The reasons why you may buy an F4. All the features that it has. There was one of those reasons ads that went over the flash system, as I explained earlier, that matrix balance full flash with the Nikon SB24. And then here's one more ad. This was in the early 90s, 1992, "Have a Shot in Hell." And it shows a picture here titled "Dante's Inferno." And I'm not sure what this gentleman is doing. It just looks like he's working possibly to put out a fire. And so this camera could stand the heat. It's also somewhat moisture resistant. Now, I bought my first Nikon F4 sometime in 1990. And I sold my F3. I wish I had kept it, but I sold it to help pay for the F4. And I was working for a weekly newspaper at the time. And I was shooting a lot of high school sports. And it made it a little easier with autofocus rather than my manual focus Nikon F3. And eventually, in 1992, late 1992, I was shooting games for the Philadelphia Eagles, actually that whole season starting in September, and I would rent a 300 2.8 to use with my F4. And it wasn't the best at continuous autofocus for professional football. And a photographer who was working alongside me at one of the Eagles games let me try his Canon EOS 1. And it was much better at continuous autofocus. And not long after that, I sold my F4 and bought an EOS 1. And I would then rent Canon's 300 2.8. And I was very pleased with the autofocus performance of that camera. But that camera was totally unlike this one. It was much more futuristic, can I say. It didn't have all the dials and buttons and levers. It did not take the older Canon lenses, the FD lenses. You had to use the EOS lenses, the EF lenses with it. So Canon completely changed their lens mount. Okay, so why am I holding a Nikon F4 right now? Well, recently, the last year or so, I kind of got back into film photography. I was shooting with my Nikon F4S and my FM. Late in 2025, I picked up a TLR, a Mamiya C220. I've done articles on that. I love shooting medium format. Back in the day, I shot with Hasselblad and Mamiya and several other medium format cameras. I set up a darkroom. I love black and white. But although I love shooting with the Mamiya, I wanted a autofocus film camera. And I didn't want an F5 or one of the amateur cameras. I wanted a camera that could use my old manual focus lenses. And I have a lot of pre-AI, AI, AIS, and some AF lenses that the F4 can use. So the F4, as I said, will use any of those lenses. Here's a 70 to 210 AF lens. On the camera, I have a 35 to 72.8. This is a AI 105 millimeter 2.5. This will work fine on this camera, including matrix metering and the electronic rangefinder. This is a macro, a 60-2.8 AF macro. Works great with this camera. Here's an old Nikon F that I have, which has a 50 millimeter f2 pre-AI. All I have to do is pop up this little lever here that works with the AI lenses, get it out of the way so I can mount a pre-AI lens. I don't have matrix metering. I lose it matrix metering. I have to do stop-down metering. I have to hold in the depth of field preview button when I meter, and I still have the electronic rangefinder to help me focus these older lenses. I don't think there is a better Nikon film camera for use with manual focus lenses than the F4. And I love using those old lenses. Like I said, I have a bunch of them, and they work great with the F4. So that's about it for this video. Look for my video that will be upcoming on all the features, controls, and how they work on the F4. And then down the road a little bit, I'm also going to do a video using the F4 out in the field, shooting black and white film with several different lenses. And if you have any questions or comments on this video, please leave them in the comments below. I always try to respond to all questions and comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I publish a new video every Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon.